independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is it. This is it. We've waited. We've seen the Democrats fight, battle. Bernie, Kamala, Andrew Yang, Bloomberg, Joe, Elizabeth. At the end of the day, Biden is the man. On the other side, Donald Trump. Apparently he's done less than 2 hours of debate prep. People say, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm like, Donald's whole life is a debate. With Donald, you could practice all day. So Trump could practice all day, and then the minute he gets in there, he would throw everything out anyways. And it's like one of those things where you as a person that is going to take him on in debate, you can try, but until you get in there, you don't know. It's always like football, where they talk about like how fast and how great an athlete is, like Patrick Mahomes, right? Or Jackson. And people say, well, you could try to emulate it in practice, but you don't know until you get there. It's the same thing. Until you get in there, you don't know. But tonight is the night. Now, who has the big opportunity and who could blow it? First, April Ryan talks about Biden, because I think he's got the opportunity here most to lose. Because let's be real. If you look around, he's kind of in the lead. I don't think it's as big as people think, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are quiet in who they're going to be voting for. But there are also a lot of people out there who are on the fence, who are looking around thinking, I'm not quite, maybe Biden, but I got to see for myself what he looks like one-on-one. He's been, not out and about. Everything seems to be scheduled in such a way and planned in such a way to limit the gaffes.
What do you see as Joe Biden's biggest weakness going into this debate?
Joe Biden's biggest weakness is Joe Biden. If he is not on point, if he's not as succinct, he's got to be clear-minded with this. Sometimes he gets lost. Sometimes he goes off on a tangent, but he has to be succinct. Whatever they're going to do in this prep, they're going to have to make sure he does this on the stage on Tuesday night in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. And that's very real right there. He can't be all over the place. He can't be lost. If Joe sticks to it, and he's going to fact-check Trump along with Chris Wallace, and that's the battle that's going to be there. We'll talk about Chris in a little bit. He is going to, but he's got his own. Here's the thing about Trump. The big issue with Trump in the last election when it came to Hillary is Hillary had a past in politics, right? So she had a past in politics. Trump didn't have that. Trump had all the other stuff, right? The Playboy lifestyle, the bankruptcies in his business, all of those things. But the political past, Trump didn't have. Well, he's got a political past now. That he has. But so does Biden. 47 years worth of that. And then there's the weirdness of normally there's a big audience, right? And we know how Trump loves an audience.
We've learned the live audience at this debate is going to be much, much smaller than usual. Historically, there's an average of 900 people in the audience. This time, because of health precautions for COVID, we're told there may only be 60 to 70 people instead. I wonder if that will have an impact on either candidate, especially President Trump, who we all know thrives off the energy of a big crowd.
It all depends on who is in the crowd. This president believes in his loyalists being there. He feeds off of them. He's almost like a Baptist preacher that rise and fall. He plays off of the emotion of the crowd.
Yeah, and there's a huge part of that for Trump. I played sports with guys who loved the crowd, the energy, right? If the crowd wasn't there, they weren't great at practice, and they like that. They do better in a situation. Like Trump's one of those people. He lives for the moment, especially when there's a big audience. And there'll be one at home, but it's not the same. It's not the same for him. Then you got to go over the topics tonight. That's another big thing, so they know what they're getting.
Trump's taxes and business record are sure to be in Biden's crosshairs tonight, but the former vice president is also bracing for Trump to go personal.
He's going to want to get in the mosh pit I'm going to talk about why I want to be president of the United States.
The official topics for tonight's debate include both Biden and Trump's records, the economy, the Supreme Court, race and unrest, and the pandemic.
Yeah, right? Like the pandemic, it's going to be big, but the economy's going to be big. It's going to be huge. Because at the end of the day, what do we always say? It's the economy, stupid. It's the economy. Race relations. Trump, while people look and say, oh, Trump really has some bad, opportunities with race relations here, you can go and look at his records. He's like, well, you go and look and see what he did with some of the bills that he passed and some of the things that he pushed through, executive orders, things of that nature, where you can say, hold on a second, he's got some good there too. When you look at unemployment rates, it's the same thing. And you can look over Biden and say, you had 47 years. What have you done with race relations? Because you've said some things in your past that, quite frankly, if you said them today, you'd be canceled. Oh, yeah. So there is a lot that goes into this. There it is. But the attacks, here's my thing. I think Trump is going to, one of the things that I thought is very, very interesting is the fact that I think, and yesterday I was talking about it on my other show with my on-air partner. He and I were joking about it. Is Trump has done such a job as to lower the bar in some ways for Joe Biden. Although Joe's done it to himself. I mean, it's you can't ignore it. That he makes mistakes. He makes gaffes. He says things. You're like, what are you even talking about? You heard April Ryan. What's Joe Biden's biggest issue here? It was Joe Biden. President Obama, right? His former president, where he was VP, said if anybody can blank this up, it's Joe. Here's the reality of it. Joe's done a lot of that himself, and he's not great at debates. We think this is Joe's first rodeo. It is not. I think this is his fourth time he's run for president, third or fourth time. He's not been great at debates. He's had a moment here and a moment there. Even these debates that he had, he didn't shine. So is the bar lower? Yeah. Some of that's Trump. Trump's pushing it out there. Lower that bar, lower that bar, lower that bar. On the other side of things, Trump has a lot of splaining to do. Taxes is going to be one of them. The empathy side of things. He's going to come out and talk about all the stuff he did for COVID, all the things he's going to go out there. But Joe has one thing over Trump, which a lot of people really want in a time of a pandemic, which is they want empathy. So I think Joe will come across strong there. What Joe can't do is meander. He can't get off telling stories that don't add up, going all over the place. What Joe can't do is do what Joe has done in the past, where he starts wandering. Then the next thing you know, he makes absolutely no sense, and you're thinking to yourself, is he all there? That he can't do. He can't. Now, the other side of all of this is there will be a third person, and that third person is Chris Wallace. And here's the reality of it. The person asking the question, well, he says he wants to be invisible, may be the most important. He's going to be a hockey referee because they're going to fight. He has got to be a person who keeps them on task because they will wander and fight over each other and take it in a different direction. And he's got to be the person that asks that second question that is vitally important to get the answer that people are looking for, not the stat political BS.
I expect Chris Wallace to be prepared. Nobody who's watched Chris Wallace thinks other than that he's a very tough, very thoroughly prepared journalist. And he's said repeatedly over the years to me and publicly, my job is to stay out of the way and be unnoticed as much as possible. But he's not one to let a falsehood or a misrepresentation or a look over here kind of shiny object thing just slide by the way.
Yeah, and that's good. That's what I want. I think this is what we all want. That's what we all want. Let's hear it. You don't like what Trump's done, Biden? Tell me the things you don't like other than I just don't like you. You're a horrible person. Trump, you say you've got all these amazing things. Back it up with facts and data.
He will hold them, both of them. He's not a partisan guy. He's searching for truth. He's trying to speak truth to power and trying to get information to the public. That's what all journalists want to do. It's not about Chris. He'll be the first to tell you that. It's about finding out what they are really about.
And hopefully we'll have a chance to do that tonight without it breaking into a hockey fight, which would be hilarious. What if they throw down in the middle of it? What if they just look over at each other and go, you want to go? And the next thing you know, boom, it's on. Because Trump can goat like nobody's business, and you've seen it with Biden in the past. He does have a temper, and we know that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Night one, chance for Trump to get out there and to hopefully regain some of that momentum he had pre-coronavirus. And for Biden, a night for him where he can put some of the naysayers as far as they're worried about, is mentally he all there? Is he up for this job? He could start putting some of that stuff to rest. Raycons, best earbuds around. Love them. Incredible. Best sound quality. 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing. These E25s are incredible. So I'll go out and hit golf balls later. I'm going to be here till, all night long. Basically from early in the morning all the way through about 11 o'clock at night. Probably about a 20-hour day. And in the middle of the day, I will go run around and hit golf balls and work out a little bit. I take my Raycons. I never worry about them falling out. There's no wires, no stems. And I don't worry about it running out of juice while I'm out there doing what I'm doing. You will love these. They're incredible. Nice noise isolating fit for making calls, whether it's a video conference call, whatever it is incredible. Get yours now and save big, well under $100. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad. Save 15%. Best earbuds around. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Serving up talk radio medium rare and dripping with irony. It's Chad Benson.
When the attack comes, and it will come personal, Joe Biden needs to deflect it with, look, I can say a lot about your family. You can say whatever you want about my family, but that has nothing to do with the American family.
That right there is Rahm Emanuel. I was talking yesterday. I love Rahm Emanuel and Chris Christie politically when they're doing their punditry. I enjoy listening to both of them. And he's right. If I'm Trump tonight, I surprise everybody by not getting personal. Now, he doesn't know how to do that because Trump plays to win and he doesn't care. But if I'm him, all the things you think I'm going to do, I pivot. All the things you think that, hey, I know Trump's going to come after me. I know he's going to come after Hunter. I know he's going to do all of these things. And this is exactly what he is about. I stay away from all that. I stay away from all of that. All that I do is focus on, you've had 47 years in government. 47 years in government. You didn't get justice reform done. You had 47 years in government. You and Obama dropped 20,000 bombs across the Middle East, got us into Yemen, Libya. You didn't pull our things out. You didn't pull our troops out like you said. Then you allowed ISIS to grow. And rather than listening to the generals, which everybody says I don't do, we went in and we had the surge. Get into those things and stop getting personal. But I just think, oh, my God, he's going to say something stupid when it comes to his kids. And you're just going to look, and I'm just like, oh, I just... And then you got the other side of it, which is the taxes.
They want to know about their futures and what taxes they'll be paying over the next 4 years rather than what taxes the president may have paid over the last 20.
Yeah. Absolutely. Does the tax issue, do you care? Like, if you hate Trump, you care. And so if you can't stand Trump, this is another thing. Well, he's been compromised. Who's got him? Well, we went through all those taxes that, the New York Times is coming out with, and you go and you look at the thing and you think to yourself, well, there's nothing here that's done illegally. By the way, his tax attorneys and the people that work on his taxes, they're obligated to do the best they possibly can to get him to pay the least. That's what he pays them for. It's not about a morality thing. It's just about, this is legally what I'm able to do. And I have to do the best. I have a fiduciary responsibility to do the best for you to get you everything I possibly can. and to shield you in every way, shape, or form. It's not a morality thing. It's a numbers thing. Well, morally, he should pay more. It's not about that. When you go see your tax person, he's not the and if you have I don't care who you go see. You can go to H&R, Blow, whoever. But when you go see a tax person, their whole goal is not to get you to pay more to the government. It's the other way around. Right? Well, morally, it's wrong. Again, it's not about morals here. I tell everybody, there's a box on your IRS form where you can pay more to the government. Do you do that? Or does every single person go out there and try to do what Trump happens to do? Here's the issue. If you want to fix this, fix the tax code that was set up not by Trump, but by Democrats and Republicans long, long before him.
He's paid nothing in federal taxes because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax.
That makes me smart.
If he's paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health. And I think probably he's not all that enthusiastic about having the rest of our country see what the real reasons are, because it must be something terrible that he's trying to hide.
Or that he just figured out a way to use the system to his advantage. A great article today, and we'll touch on it a little bit, sent to me by our buddy Jim Kennedy, talking about from a person who is an accountant and an attorney that deals in taxes, saying Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. He did everything that was right, according to the law. And if you don't like the law, what do? Put people in place that will change the law. It's the code, not the person. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's me. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on the YouTube as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is why the American people deserve to have a full accounting of the financial interest, including the indebtedness of the President of the United States. And I do share in that concern. Who does he owe the money to? Tell us. Who do you owe the money to? We need to know that. The American people have a right to know that when the President of the United States acts, he acts with their priorities in mind, not with his priorities in mind.
Who do you own the money to? I don't know. What if it's just a bunch of banks? Right? What if that's who you owe money to? Was it Putin? What if it's Deutsche Bank and, several other large banks and financial institutions globally? Then what? Well, who owns them? Everybody's going to try to, tie something into something. And look, the people are pissed because they look around and they're like, I can't believe he didn't pay anything in taxes. So taxes is the fight we have everywhere. I go back to a movie from many, many moons ago that I thought was, entertaining to say the least. But remember, these guys, led by Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, were going to save the world from a giant, huge meteor that was going to kill us all. And what did they ask for?
Some of that.
Harry.
Yeah, one more thing. None of them want to pay taxes again. Ever.
They weren't asking for $1 billion. They wanted never to pay taxes again. That's it. Look, I get it. People are pissed. People on the left are pissed because they think the rich gets away with everything. You can go and look at what the top 0.1% pays, and you go look at the federal, money brought in by a few people and all of this stuff, and then you go look at everybody else. It's frustrating. You think, how does he get away with it? I'm telling you, when it comes to these tax things, the biggest thing of all is he doesn't want people to know he's not worth what he says he's worth. Oh, he's worth more than you and I, but he's not worth what he says. He's not worth several billion. And if he liquidated all of his assets, he'd still be very, very wealthy. But he is cash poor, asset rich. And he's hawked a lot of that stuff. Will this be an issue tonight? Could be. But at the end of the day, you've got somebody of how many, you've got subsidiaries of subsidiaries, you've got shell companies, you have all of these things. This is what everybody who's got money does. I go back to Steve Bannon telling Trump, raise their taxes. They're not going to pay it. They'll figure it out. Raise their taxes. Raise it to make it seem like you're doing something for everybody because it makes them feel good. But at the end of the day, you look and you go, At one time, we had a 73% tax, right? FDR, tax the wealthy, his New Deal, going to soak the rich. That's what they called it. What happened? Everybody found ways around it, and you collected less money. Get pissed at the system that is insane rather than the person. You can be mad at the person for a lot of reasons, but taking advantage of something that he didn't set up, but years of politics on the right and left set up, they're the ones that have splaining to do. Why is the system the way it is? Why is it so complicated? Because that's the system that they designed. It's just legal jargon, legalese, and it frustrates a lot of people. They feel like people, you know where the real issue is? People with means can figure out things that other people can't. And their money can work for them. That's the reality of it. They'll be mad at the person because every person figures it out. The wealthy, the famous. I have a friend who is an accountant and a money manager for some pretty famous people. And she would tell me all the time, like she would talk about this person he's got a corporation set up, pays himself $1 a year, and then everything else is paid for by all these other things. And you just laugh. It's like, Warren Buffett. Oh, my secretary pays more in taxes. Well, what are you paying your secretary? I don't know, $500,000 a year. What do you pay yourself? $100,000? Well, of course. Shouldn't they? I mean, you're worth $72.5 billion, give or take, on the day. Is she worth that? It all sounds good. But the reality is the system's set up by politicians and powerful to use it. You're available to use it. Everybody I know goes, I got a great tax guy. I got a tax guy. I got a tax guy. Everybody's got a tax guy. Everybody's got a tax guy. Which tax guy? I got a tax guy. And then the other people out there, what do? They just go to the place with the guy standing out with the billboard, and they go do their taxes there because they know they're going to be getting back their money at the end of the year. And they want it done as simply as possible because at the end of the day, they get a paycheck, and out of that comes taxes. I don't get a paycheck. I have my own business. I have my own corporation. I got to take care of all of that stuff. I got to pay for everything myself. I put a ton of money into my other business. I've not reaped any of those rewards. We've hired people. It's a risk-reward world. Get frustrating at times. But it's what it's all about. And what's your goal? Your goal is to get to the point where you have somebody who goes, I have somebody who does that. I don't do that. I'm not very good at that. People think, I was talking last night to who's the greatest troll in the world, producer Phil?
Your uncle?
My Uncle Paul. But people think he goes on to he goes to Tax Slayer or something like that and does it right there, or one of those, online things. It just doesn't work that way. Speaker, there's a great article about taxes we're going to touch on in a little while, but in the article, this guy says in one of his classes that he gave 5 different major tax firms a family, a made-believe family of 4 with all these things, and to bring back what they could do to show the men and women in class. And all 5 of them brought back different things and different write-offs and deductions. All of it was legal, but it shows you that the thing is so big and how many things that you can miss. It's nuts. It is crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. So, very interesting. Change in the Breonna Taylor case as, well, people are asking questions, and now a grand juror.
The lawyer for one of those grand jurors is speaking to GMA overnight.
The public deserves to know everything. That's what continues a sense of accountability and public trust within our law enforcement community and its administration.
This comes as police body cam videos from the night Breonna Taylor was killed, obtained by Vice News, are raising serious questions about how Louisville police conducted their investigation of the botched raid. The video has not yet been verified by ABC.
Yeah, I've seen some of that video. How they got it is, I don't know. But I will tell you, that's why you know that you can never keep a secret in this world. You just can't keep a secret. People can't keep their mouth shut. Somebody is always willing. There's a person who's making $15 an hour in the Louisville Police Department, and Vice and everybody else willing to pay that person 10 or 20 grand if they can get something out of there. Right? It's like TMZ. Of course you're going to pay for it. If you got something real, hell yeah. Money plus opportunity equals more opportunity to make money. But it's chaotic, I'll tell you that. And so now they're going to release the transcripts of the grand jury, from what I understand. Does it change anything? I don't know. So the releasing of this will be very interesting to see. And I think the people, they're frustrated. They want to know, how did you guys come to this? Remember, in anything, when it comes to law, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. The ballistics didn't match up with the gun that the officer was supposedly shot with. Okay, well, what's that all about? Is that true? Is that false? What did the grand jury hear? Is there stuff missing? Was there stuff hidden? Or was it one of those things where it's going to be released and people are going to look and go, yeah, ugly, awful, tragic, not a murder? That they were right in what they came up with based on everything they have, even if all the accounts were a little bit different. But it's going to be another situation. This is something that's going to be talked about tonight. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Jacob Blake. Race in this country is going to be one of the things that's talked about in the debate tonight. Both of them have had their issues. Let's be real. People always think that, it's Trump, just the most racist individual in the world. I'm like, well, okay, show me all the racism. Like, show me where he's did this or he's did that or he's did, all of these things. Well, I'll show you. And then I'm like, okay, just show me all the things that's all the super racist things he's done. Well, he said good people on both sides, and then you go listen to the whole thing, and that's the snapshot of things that we take, and what we're gonna craft it to that. And same thing for Biden. I mean, you go back and you look at, I don't for an instant think Biden's racist at all. But if you watch him and Kamala go at it, you would swear that Biden was at one time the Grand Wizard. So they both got their issues tonight where they're going to have to talk about things in the past or the way things are being perceived. That's for sure. I just have a feeling. I'm waiting for Trump to say something so ridiculous where you just... There's the new poll out. I think it's the mayor's poll that's out today, and New York Times mayor's poll talking about his job approval ratings at 46, but likely voters it's 41, and there's a 5% missing in that. And people are asking the question, like Nate Silver, 538, is it all personality? Where they like his actions, but they can't stand who it is? Or is there a certain amount of people out there that are quiet, but the silent majority, but a large group of people who are just like, in this day and age, I just don't want to fight with anybody. I'm just going to keep who I vote for to myself, and I'm going to ignore the calls. I'm going to ignore any of the polls as far as people calling me to ask, because I just don't want that. And I'm like, And I have a feeling after this, if Trump loses, a lot of what people are going to say had nothing to do with the policy. They liked a lot of the actions, but they couldn't stand the personality, the tweets, and the battles. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Speaking of taxes, it's a perfect example for you right now to get yourself in a position where you start managing your finances in a much different way and maximizing all of the things that are available to you. And that is what? Quicken. Quicken is incredible, lets you securely view and maintain your entire financial life, and it is incredible. So 17 million users in 3 decades. Most popular personal finance software on the market. About couple months ago, I'm like, we got to dive deeper into our finances, because I had a lot of nickel and dime stuff that was coming out, you just don't know. And next thing you know, you look up and you're like, wow, saved me massive. Better with my taxes, better with where I'm going with my finances and investments. Quicken gives you that. Whether you're planning for this month, a few years out, doesn't matter. Quicken helps you do it right. Get the peace of mind and freedom that comes with taking better control of your finances today. I'm telling you guys, it is an eye-opener. And many of us avoid doing it. It's like avoid getting on the scale because we don't want to know. But once you learn, once you get it going, it makes life easier. Try Quicken risk-free 30 days. Get 25% off when you go to quicken.com/Chad. 30-day risk-free 25% off when you go to quicken.com/Chad. Quicken.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
James Bond.
Sean Connery first uttered that signature line in 1962's Dr. No. 58 years later, Bond is still going strong. Now, to celebrate, every song from every movie has been collected for the best of Bond, James Bond. It starts with the John Barry Orchestra's classic instrumental theme and runs chronologically through the latest song, No Time to Die by Billie Eilish. The collection will be available on 2 CDs or 3 vinyl LPs. It drops November 20th. No Time to Die, the movie, premieres November 11th.
Yeah, I have, I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to sound weird. I've never cared for Bond. And I don't know why, because I think spy movies are kind of fun, and that's never been my, it's never been my jam, right? Never been my jam. Ever. And I don't know, and I've seen a lot of them. You go back, David Niven was the first Bond, wasn't he? If I'm correct?
Yes.
And, it's just, you go and you watch it. I think the last time I actually saw a Bond movie in the theaters was Roger Moore. I think Roger Moore was Bond. Remember Roger Moore? Was he out of all of the Bonds, was he the one who was like, yeah, this guy's probably the least talented looking back? Although, what was the other guy that was after him?
George Lazenby?
No, not George Lazenby. God, who was the guy that was right after? Was it Daltrey or whatever? I forgot this. He was just, Dalton. Yeah, that guy was. Whatever happened to him? Pierce Brosnan was a cool Bond. He was all right, I guess. I didn't watch it. I saw one Daniel Craig movie, and I'm like, he's pretty cool. But it's just in the theater, Roger Moore was the last one. And I'm like, I just don't, it's never been my thing. And when I lived in Europe, So I lived in England for those years, off and on for those years. I will tell you this. They live for James Bond. They love James Bond. Like, that was it. And then, like, you know, growing up, I was like, oh, who's your favorite? And everybody's always, oh, Daniel Craig's easily way better. It's like Batman, right? Like, who's the best Batman? Was it Michael Keaton? Was he the best Batman? We know it wasn't Val Kilmer or George Clooney. Was it Christian Bale? Was it Ben Affleck? And who's the new one? Robert Pattinson? He can't be Batman. You can't be Batman. You're a vampire. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube. I watched football last night. You got the NBA Finals, if anybody cares, tonight. You've got, I think, 8 Major League Baseball games today. Is that what it is? Or 4 kicking off in the playoffs that start today. College football's back. I like it. Starting to feel a little bit fall-y, if you will. Smidge. And Tampa Bay is your Stanley Cup champions. Still no Canadian team that's won Stanley Cup in forever. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The first is to lay out his vision for the next 4 years and what he wants to do for the American people if he's given a second term. And secondly, he has to differentiate what his vision is from Joe Biden's vision based upon their campaign and based upon Joe Biden's record.
Yes. Remember, Trump didn't have a political record. He had a record as a businessman, which many people said, look what a failure he is now. He had a record of a husband, failure at that, as a playboy, all of those things, you know, as a TV guy and personality, but he didn't have a political record. Well, he's got one now. Biden has a record, 47 years. That's a long time, 47 years. And now he's come up with the magic formula of how to fix America. 47 years. So they'll battle it out. What's your vision of America? What's your vision of America? What does this look like over here? What does this look like over there? And they're going to battle the whole thing out tonight. And this is it. Tonight is round one of what will be 3. And then the question is, Joe, a lot of people have questions. Are you up for the gig? You've disappeared. You've been putting a lid on it earlier and earlier every single week, it looks like. 9 days this month. You didn't campaign at all. Everything has been very choreographed as far as where you go, who you speak to. Is it a less is more strategy for Trump? You're out there all the time. He said yesterday, everything for me is a debate. That is the practice I have every single day.
Biden has been off the trail preparing, but Trump, he's been campaigning full steam, keeping up a packed schedule with 9 events in just the last week. He says his job is prep enough.
I'm running a country. I don't have the luxury.
But he's still trying to downplay expectations.
He's been doing it for 47 years, and I've just started doing this stuff.
Yeah. So what do we expect tonight? We're going to talk to Jim Kennedy at the bottom of the hour, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be a knockdown fight. They're going to throw blows at each other from top to bottom. They're going to talk about taxes. That's going to be an issue. They're going to talk about COVID. There's a lot of things that are going to be in here that aren't just those two. How does Chris Wallace handle it? Are we going to have time to hear all of the topics?
Trump's taxes and business record are sure to be in Biden's crosshairs tonight, but the former vice president is also bracing for Trump to go personal.
He's going to want to get in the mosh pit I'm going to talk about why I want to be president of the United States.
The official topics for tonight's debate include both Biden and Trump's records, the economy, the Supreme Court, race and unrest, and the pandemic.
Yeah. Pandemic will be huge. Trump said it about 3-4 weeks ago. Do you want empathy or do you want your jobs back? Producer Phil said, I don't know at this point who is undecided. And I said, let me tell you who I think is undecided right now, right? Or as some people call it, the fence sitters. But there are undecided.
There are, as we do know from the polls, people who have made up their minds. But there are many who have not yet made up their minds. And they will be watching the debate very, very carefully.
And what are they looking for? Well, they know what they're going to get out of these two. For a lot of people, when it comes to Trump, whether you like him or don't like him, it comes down to this. Go look at Arizona and Florida, two states that have become somewhat battleground that you would think, well, especially Arizona, he should be able to handle this. When you go look at what the race looks like, but then you look at the economy, who do you think would handle the economy better? Florida was 15% to Trump, 10% to Biden. And what do we always say? It's the economy, stupid. There are a lot of people out there that are looking at this and saying to self, I probably may go with Biden, although I do have some serious questions, maybe about some issues with Biden, potentially with, I know he's lost a step, but has he lost more than a step, maybe like 5 or 10 yards? Is he really up for this? How much is the uber political left going to have a say in all the things that he does? But I'm going to hold off till the last moment, because if there was a way that we were going to get a vaccine and we saw that there was light at the end of the tunnel, I'd rather have Trump helming that ship than everybody else. So they're out there, and that's the way they feel. You've got issues with Joe Biden. And what are those issues when it comes to Joe Biden?
What do you see as Joe Biden's biggest weakness going into this debate?
Joe Biden's biggest weakness is Joe Biden. If he is not on point, if he's not as succinct, he's got to be clear-minded with this. Sometimes he gets lost. Sometimes he goes off on a tangent, but he has to be succinct. Whatever they're going to do in this prep, they're going to have to make sure he does this on the stage on Tuesday night in Cleveland, Ohio.
Can't meander. Can't be all over the place. You can't start at point A, go to point D, never get to the point that you need to go to, and all of a sudden you're in the weeds and you're talking about popcorn or corn pop and how kids used to rub your legs inside of the pool, because people are going to be like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to think of a pass on that. So he's got to be in a position where he stays on point, and less is more. Less is more. People have questioned Biden, and I think it's a fair question. My grandfather's 78 years old. Right? He's 78 years old. He's a year older than Joe Biden. And my uncle and I had to put him in a home this past week. He goes in actually on Saturday. There's a year difference. Do I think Joe's like that? I don't. But is it fair to ask a question? Absolutely. If we knew then what we knew now about Reagan in those last couple of years, we'd have questions. I think Reagan was younger. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's just asking a very serious question. Same thing goes with Trump. Both of them are older gentlemen, and we know a lot more about stuff. And then there's also the health side of it. Trump seems to go. Everybody talking, he's fat, he's gross, he's all these things. Well, I saw him at 3 different places on Friday, and Joe goes to bed at noon is what it seems like. Every day he's been up. Well, he's prepping. Is he really prepping?
Obviously, something is going on with this man at this point. I mean, he keep him locked away for 90% of the time. And then when they have a little window where they think he might be able to put a few sentences together, they break him out. They have him read from a teleprompter. And then as soon as it's over, they just dismiss him right away without taking any questions, unless they're, of course, they're scripted questions that he already has been prepared to answer.
Yeah, I think that is it's a very fair question. We've seen a lot of that with Joe, where it seems like everything's been put on a platter for him. and the less is more. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you think you've got the lead and you can hold off and you hyper-focus on one or two areas, okay, I get it. And that will be tonight. That will be tonight. Because a lot of people are watching who are also undecided for that reason. Can Joe show that he's in the game and that he's serious and that this is a long haul and not a one-shot deal where 2 years in he says, I can't do it anymore?
Joe Biden's got to reassure the American people. That's a different mission than Donald Trump, which has to change people's impression of both him and his presidency after 3.5 years.
Reassure what? That he's up for it. Reassure that he's in this. Reassure that, hey, I'm totally fine. I'm all there. Maybe I've lost a step, but I'm not crazy. I am not senile. I don't have dementia. I don't have Alzheimer's. I'm not just your weird, crazy uncle. And some of that has brought the bar down for Joe, right? Like, because you remember the Democratic National Convention? People were celebrating Joe, and I'm like, why are we celebrating Joe? We gave him a trophy for reading off a teleprompter. And then Trump has also set that up by talking about Sleepy Joe, Slow Joe, all of those things. That has brought the bar down. So if he gets through tonight without any of his, talking about corn pop and back in the 1800s when he was, first excited about the moving pictures, then, it's like I was telling somebody yesterday, it's like golf. And so you ever golf with somebody who's really good and you've got your handicap? Well, the handicap is, okay, so you're playing a course and you're playing 18 holes and your handicap may be 15, meaning you're getting a 15-shot lead on somebody who's like a scratch golfer. And I feel like that's what potentially could be happening now. We're going to give Joe a little bit of leeway. Trump's got a lot of explaining to do, and all of his explaining is brand new. Taxes, COVID response, because he's the one in charge. Both have a lot to lose tonight. I think Joe has a lot to prove. And I think Trump has a lot to lose. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Rough Greens. Went home last night. My dog Doodle running around. You know how much he runs around now? I always tell everybody. So if you guys don't know, my dog Doodle, we adopted him. Really bad hips, arthritis, fatty tumors. We didn't know what we were going to do with him. He was much older than they said when we adopted him. We thought he was like 5 or 6. Found out he was like 9 or 10. Took him to the vet. They said, you can try these things. Nothing worked. So then we started using Rough Greens. And it's not a dog food. It's a supplement. You sprinkle it on your dog's food and it brings your dog's food to life. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics. It's got omega-3, 6, 9. It's got all these amazing things. But now he'll go outside and he takes off. Like before, he wouldn't even get off the couch. Now he takes off, like with the other dogs, run around because we have rabbits in front of the house. And it's crazy. And I love it. We give it to our puppies. We give it to Doodle. Your dogs will thank you for it. $14.95 for the Jump Start. It's a 14-day thing. It's less than $15. It's like $1 a day. Your dog will thank you for it. Get it today. roughgreens.com/Chad. Or call 833-MyDog88, 833-MyDog88, or ruffgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? All right. Let's find out what's trending. Let's stay away from the politics and find out what fun stuff is trending elsewhere. Stay away from the debate stuff because that's going to be trending. Where is the debate tonight? Blah, 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 blah. Start on the world of Google. Bad Bunny Crocs go on sale today. Apparently they're glow in the dark. I'm like, does anybody wear Crocs anymore? The Scorpion chair. If you've not seen this, it's a new chair for, I think it's work but mostly gaming. And it's a chair you sit in, and it comes over you like a scorpion's tail. Looks kind of cool, I'm not going to lie to you. Ilhan Omar, Project Veritas, apparently claims that her supporters harvested ballots. Look, Project Veritas has done some stuff where you're like, okay, and then other stuff you're like, I'm not quite sure I'm buying everything. But Tulsi Gabbard, today she introduced legislation that would outlaw ballot harvesting. NBA Finals, Major League Baseball, also trending because today is the start of Major League Baseball's postseason. Head on over to Twitter. Korean Thanksgiving is upended by COVID-19. What? Yeah. And Coulter talking about taxes. Saying, you know what? It's time to fix the tax code. There's an overall change that's needed. And I'm like, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I've been saying that for years. Everybody gets mad at, first of all, they put stuff in place in taxes and the codes. So people will do things like, if I can't carry losses over, so if you want me to put money into something and I can't carry it over, knowing it may take me X amount of years to even see any profit, and I may not see anything at all, and it'll just be a loss, and I can't write any of that off, then why would I want to invest in anything? Am I right? I mean, it's like big pharma. Well, they're evil and bad. Yeah, but for every one you see get through that you think is evil and bad as far as, the patent and the pill itself or whatever it is, how much did they lose in research and development? If they can't write any of that stuff off, if they can't depreciate, if oil companies can't depreciate some of their stuff, all of these things, small businesses, if you're a plumbing company and you can't depreciate some of your assets that you purchase, then that's insane. But has it become too complicated and a game that it's not rigged? It's just you have to have enough money to search these things out? 100%. The tax code is insane. And there's other countries, Denmark, Japan, places like that, where it's so simple. It's like a page. It's like a page. But with all of the chaos in ours also comes the fact that we innovate. That people are willing to invest, that people are willing to try things, that people are willing to spend money on, knowing there is a risk at the end of that. But Ann Coulter's right. We need to look at the tax code and how insane it is, and how do we go about simplifying it. But before everybody gets mad at Trump or any other billionaire, quadrillionaire, and even people that, just are small business owners who take an advantage of things that were put there by other people who are politicians. Think about, it wasn't those people who made those laws, or as everybody calls them, loopholes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program as well. Also, Joe Rogan bought a almost $15 million mansion. I don't know if you saw that. That's a nice house. That Spotify money just keeps rolling in, right? All those social justice warriors who are whining. I've been triggered by Joe. His talk scares me. He has radical free speech and people I don't agree with. Why do we continue to give people who are children, who whine about everything, a seat at the table and say to them, your opinion matters more than everybody else's opinion? Why do we continue to do that? People want editorial control over who he's allowed to have on his damn show. His people trigger me. Oh, get over yourself, for God's sake. Stop giving people like that too much power. Give them less. Take it back. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
What do you see as Joe Biden's biggest weakness going into this debate?
Joe Biden's biggest weakness is Joe Biden. If he is not on point, if he's not as succinct, he's got to be clear-minded with this. Sometimes he gets lost. Sometimes he goes off on a tangent, but he has to be succinct. Whatever they're going to do in this prep, they're going to have to make sure he does this on the stage on Tuesday night in Cleveland, Ohio.
I love how she's in Cleveland, Ohio. Like, is there another one that we care about? Probably is in some place that nobody cares about, but she had Cleveland, Ohio. April Ryan right there. Joining me now, Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, talk about tonight's debate. So let's look forward, Jim, all right? So first and foremost, let's break it down. Donald Trump has now 4 years under his belt. He wants another 4 years under his belt. What does he have to do tonight to try to get some people? Because there are people out there that are worried about, if we get a vaccine, I want Trump running the country and the economy again. And if Biden doesn't seem up for it, we're going to have to go with Trump because I don't want him to get 2 years into it and hand it over to the uber progressives. What does Trump have to do tonight to start to get some of those undecideds to jump on his bandwagon?
Well, Chad, I think Trump's going to have to do three things I've outlined here. He needs to be presidential. Basically, can people vote for him, and do they have faith in him being the president? Is he going to act presidential? He's going to need to convince people that Biden is unfit. It's slow Joe. It's Joe that's maybe not quite there. It's Joe that's always out for ice cream mentally, maybe sometimes. And he also has to be not a bully, though, about when he does this. One of the things that's been turning off the suburban women voters for Trump is that he's a bully. They don't like bullies. They don't think they want to, be concerned that their kids aren't being bullied by somebody, and they don't want to bully as president. So Trump needs to do all three of those things, and that's certainly going to help him out tonight.
It is. It is going to help him out tonight. But that whole presidential, not to be a bully, because Trump, much like Joe, by the way, and we'll talk about that, but Trump he goes for the throat. He plays to win, Jim. And when I watch him, it's one of those things where he doesn't have a second thought in a situation like this about what the repercussions may be if I say something about, for instance, John McCain or there isn't on the other side of it. It's just, can I land the blow now? And that's what I'm worried about tonight with this thing devolving with him on that side is I'm going to go low on Joe.
Yeah, no, that's a concern. He needs to kind of take a second breath and to think about it for a second about what he's going to say and not just do the first thing that pops into his head. Because now a lot of his base love him for that off the cuff stuff, the first thing that comes out of his mouth. But he needs to have a little bit of a filter tonight and think about it. How would a president answer this question? Not how does Donald Trump, New York street fighter, answer this question? And that's really what he's really going to need to focus on that. He can do that at times. I've seen him do that at times, and he's great at it. But a majority of the time, it's simply the first thing out of his mouth is what starts or out of his head into his mouth is what starts flowing, and he's got to be careful of that because those are the three things he's got to do. Because he needs to get the suburban voters, he needs to get the people that are on the fence, what few people there are, and he also needs to make sure that if he can show that Biden isn't fit for the presidency, basically he can maybe get a number of Biden voters to say, well, you know what, maybe I'm just not going to vote. I can't vote for Donald Trump, but you know what, maybe I shouldn't be voting for Joe Biden, and I'm just going to stay home and not vote at all.
It's going to be very interesting there. So we're talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, as we look forward to tonight's debate. Joe Biden, what does he have to do tonight? Because he's got 47 years of being a politician. He's got 47 years of gaffes. He's got 47 years of records, some okay and some not so good. What does he have to do tonight to win over a lot of those people out there that are on the fence but are worried about, is Joe all there, and can he run this economy, or is he going to turn this into another 3 years of stagnation or 5 years of stagnation because he wants to try to tax us out of a recession?
Absolutely. He's also got 47 years of hair smelling to overcome, too. Let's hopefully that doesn't happen tonight. He needs to be coherent. He needs to limit the gaffes. He needs to stay on topic. And he also has to be sure that he doesn't, when he's baited by Trump, and Trump will bait him no end, to not be bitter. There is an occasional bitter side of Joe Biden. He seems like a happy-go-lucky guy, but if you really kind of, tweak him, he will get bitter. And you've seen that in some of the exchanges he's had with voters. Where we called some guy a liar, and the pony soldier, whatever it was that he called the guy when he tried to question him. So those are the things that Joe Biden needs to do. Really, it's Joe Biden standing up there for 90 minutes and not talking about that he was in the 2nd Delaware Brigade in the Civil War fighting for black rights, or that he was how many different flavors of ice cream he had today. Those are the kind of things that Joe Biden can't do. And people want to see that are voting for Joe Biden, that Joe Biden is all there. He is coherent, and that he's, going to be basically be responsible when he's holding that button to launch the nuclear weapons. Or also, he's not going to get he's not going to get overrode by the progressives, and he's just going to be basically a guy sitting in the chair that's doing what he's told to do too.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Let's talk about the topics tonight. COVID is going to be one. Trump, people have their issues with Trump, and I understand that. I think at times he's poo-pooed this, Jim, and kind of thrown it away as if it'll disappear, it'll go away, things of that nature. Other times I say, you know what, I think he's done good things. One of them is the way that he's pushed this vaccine, because I have to be honest with you, I don't believe other presidents would have been as hard pushing on a vaccine the way that this guy has, because he's asked for things and demanded them in a world where, politics, there is no time. But he does have some stuff to answer for. How does he play the COVID situation?
Yeah, he's got to be careful at how he spins the COVID, because it is somewhat of a it is a liability for him. We do have the highest number of deaths for any country in the world, and we've had the highest number of cases for any country in the world. Now, we may get passed on those, but currently that's the way it's standing. There's many people that are very upset about this. We have 200,000 plus Americans have died during this outbreak. Yes, he has done a very good, or a fairly good job on pushing the vaccine and making sure that's been done, but a lot more could have been done. Now, he tried to do the China ban early on, and he was derided by that, especially by Joe Biden for that. But there are other things he could have done. So it's going to be careful with him spinning it and not making it look like he's, telling another one of his Trump marketing tales about how he was the greatest president in any pandemic ever. That's not going to fly with a lot of people. And he needs to, he needs to be careful that he's truthful. He needs to show some concern and compassion for the people that have passed away. He's gotten a lot of criticism for not speaking out about the victims so far of COVID. And it's one that he's going to have to tap dance around. If he's a smart man, he'd be able to do it. If he's reactionary and feels like he's being, attacked on it, he may get a little defensive on it. And that's not something that's going to be beneficial for him.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, to break down the topics and what goes on tonight. On the other side of it, Joe is going to talk about COVID. Here's the thing. He's going to bring up, the Ebola pandemic, which was not a pandemic. He's going to talk about, the swine flu or the bird flu, which is nowhere near what this is. But he's going to try to say, look at what we did in the past and look what we're going to do. But it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. How does he spin it where people go, okay, maybe Joe would have done something different?
Sure. No, absolutely. Like you said, he is going to reference what happened during the Obama administration, and how much actual policy input Joe had during the Obama administration is a questionable thing that we can debate for the entire show. But yeah, he needs to show what he would have done differently and how that really would make sense. This is something that I know it's Trump that's in office, but I would really have not faulted any president because of how this has turned out. I just don't know what they would have done without completely just putting everybody in homes and locking them in their homes for 3 weeks or a month and literally killing the economy far worse than we did right now. So I think that, I know a lot of people have passed away. I'm not sure that Trump handled this horribly. I don't really know what else we would have done about this. This is something that was 100 years. We didn't, no one saw it coming. Maybe we should have, but to see what Biden can, what Biden's answer would be that would be better, that's going to play well with Americans, I don't know, because it can't just simply be we locked everybody in their, in their homes for a month and killed the virus out and killed the economy with it. And, we're at the question too, at the end of this, there's going to be many discussions on, while the number of people died is high, how many people's lives that are going to die early or commit suicide because of this going down the road, because of what their economic life has become after this is going to be something that's going to be long debated for many, many years after this is over.
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute Public Policy Research. All right, we go from there over to the other side of things, Jim, when it comes to the economy. You look around, a lot of people still favor Trump in the way that he handled the economy. And I think there's a lot of undecideds out there who are looking around and saying to themselves, I may want the empathy of Joe, but I want the economy of Trump. How does Trump say, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is how fast I'm going to bring you back. Don't fall for the FDR Green New Deal and Super New Deal that ended up keeping us in the Great Depression far longer than we would have, that Joe Biden wants to spin. I mean, how does he do that without sounding like he just wants to bring the economy back, doesn't care how many people died?
Right. Again, you got to show some empathy for the people that died. We have to move on, do it in their honor, whatever you want to say about it. But basically say, look, this is what I did before the pandemic hit. This is what we're going to do after the pandemic is cleared. Once we get the vaccine, I'm pushing for the vaccine. Don't forget me. I'm the guy that's pushing the vaccine. And we're going to get things back on track. Now, there's certain industries like airlines, hospitality, cruise ships are going to be suffering for a very long time. There's businesses that will never come back. I believe we've lost something like 12% of all small businesses to date have folded, have gone away and are not coming back. The restaurant industry, again, has been hit very hard. So those industries may need some help with the stimulus bill that's coming. And Trump could talk about that. It wouldn't hurt him to discuss the stimulus bill. But basically lay out what he's going to do going forward once we get past this. Nothing's going to be the same for a long time. But getting a lot of these industries back on track is going to help a lot of Americans out that are hurting right now.
Big picture tonight. Who has the most to lose? Who has the most to win, in your opinion?
I don't know. It's a toss-up because firstly, presidential debates, the first debate, the incumbent tends to not do well historically in these. So Trump's got to win some voters over. His base is very solid with him. He can win some voters over, and he can also maybe convince some Joe Biden voters to not show up if he can show that Joe is unfit. Joe is really need to stand up there and be coherent, not make people think that he is not, that he is out of it, that he is 78, that there is some mental cognitive problem going on there with him. So I would say probably Trump has more to lose. He's the one that's got to make up points right now because it appears he's a couple points behind in most of the polls and in some of the key battleground states. So if it's basically status quo coming out of this, Trump loses. So Trump's got to make a move and Trump's got to win some voters over to be reelected.
Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute Public Policy Research. Love having you on. We'll have it on tomorrow to talk about the repercussions that may come from the debate and who is in the lead. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks so much, brother.
Thanks, Chad.
Jim Kennedy right there. Follow him at Righty Jim. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's going to be interesting for sure. Masterclass is very interesting. So let's go to Masterclass right now. So people ask me all the time, what exactly is Masterclass? It sounds interesting. I'm curious. I like to learn stuff. There is 80 different instructors, teachers that teach you different things that you may want to learn, things like business and politics, cooking, sports, arts, entertainment, you name it. So you can go and see all of these amazing instructors and you have them at your fingertips. It's incredible. So let's just say you want to learn from arts and entertainment. You go there and you're like, hey, can I learn from, I can learn from you? Some of the greatest out there? Like David Lynch, Samuel L. Jackson, Spike Lee, Natalie Portman. Yeah, you can learn from them. Maybe you want to learn about cooking. And you go, and there's like Wolfgang Puck, Gordon Ramsay, and so many others that will help you with that. Downloadable material to help support the classes. It's about 20 lessons per class, 10 minutes each lesson. You can watch on your smartphone, I do it sometimes when I'm just sitting here and I'll flip it on my phone, and same thing with a tablet, computer, all of that stuff. It's awesome. It's educational, and for some people out there that I talk to, they're like, Chad, you turned me on to this. It's incredible. This is something I've always dreamed of. I've always want to learn about photography or some of these other things. I might want to take this to another level rather than a hobby, maybe a career. That could be you. Huge, huge database of knowledge. 15% off an annual membership. So inexpensive already. All you have to do is go to masterclass.com/Benson. Masterclass.com/Benson. Save 15% now. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
You might want to hold off on the extra sweets with your meal today. A report from the 2020 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee recommending Americans limit consumption of added sugars to 6% of daily calories. For a 2,000-calorie diet, that would be 120 grams of sugar, which is less than the average can of soda. The previous recommendation was 10%. Their data found most Americans over 1 year old were consuming 13% daily.
Probably way too much. There's sugar in everything. There's refined sugar in everything. It's like, it was refined. What should we do? And like Berkeley right now is going to become the first city to ban like junk food at grocery store checkouts. The nanny state has a nanny city, and it's Berkeley. Often referred to as impulse buys. Why? Why are you doing that? Because we're trying to what? We're gonna regulate. Try to do all we can to regulate what you do, how you consume stuff. They call it the Healthy Checkout Ordinance. It's so funny. What do you care? You know, people always tell, government shouldn't tell you what to do with your body. They tell you all the time what you should and shouldn't do. They recommend all the time things that you should and shouldn't do. All the time. Yeah. So this will ban food items with 5 or more grams of added sugars and 200 milligrams or more of sodium, chewing gums, and mints with added sugar, and beverages with added sugars or artificial sweeteners. The ordinance passed unanimously. Oh, what a shocker. So funny. It is so, oh, God. We're going to regulate the size of soda you can drink. We're going to regulate, it is, stop nannying everybody. This is why everybody gets a trophy. This is why people get frustrated at states and cities for their overreach of insanity. Remember Bloomberg? Well, you can only have like a 12-ounce soda. So I've got to buy 8 of these? Remember Seattle when they had that sugary drink ban and people just went across the street and bought it? It's so ridiculous. If you want to, it is. It's frustrating. Well, look at all the people are fat and it costs the economy and everything. Yeah, that's right. It sucks. It sucks that people make poor choices. We're going to all agree on that. But I'm not going to regulate if somebody wants to have 3 Big Macs and a sugary drink. I'm sorry. Frustrates all of us. But some places will try. They will. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Trump's taxes and business record are sure to be in Biden's crosshairs tonight, but the former vice president is also bracing for Trump to go personal.
He's going to want to get in the mosh pit. I'm going to talk about why I want to be president of the United States.
The official topics for tonight's debate include both Biden and Trump's records, the economy, the Supreme Court, race and unrest, and the pandemic.
The pandemic. Of all of the demics, the pandemic will be the huge one. Here's something for you guys out there. Most important person on the stage, in my mind, for the American people, will not be these two, but Chris Wallace.
I expect Chris Wallace to be prepared. Nobody who's watched Chris Wallace thinks other than that he's a very tough, very thoroughly prepared journalist. And he's said repeatedly over the years to me and publicly, my job is to stay out of the way and be unnoticed as much as possible. But he's not one to let a falsehood or a misrepresentation or a look over here kind of shiny object thing just slide by the way.
Yeah, and like great referees, the best referees in sports are what? The ones you don't notice. They have great control of the game. You just don't notice who they are at all. We don't talk about them other than to say, hey, they did a good job. Why it's important that he's the most important person is because if we're going to get the answers we want to the questions about the economy, about the COVID response or lack of COVID response, about a myriad of other things like race and everything else in this country that we want to hear from both of these people, we got to have the person that asks the right questions and most importantly, ask the second question. Because they'll throw out stuff, as they all do in these situations, they just pull stuff out of their ass, say, what do you think of that? And then you go, you got to have somebody that comes back at them and checks them and keeps them moving forward with, no. You're not going to give me a half truth. I want the whole thing. And you need that.
He will hold them, both of them. He's not a partisan guy. He's searching for truth. He's trying to speak truth to power and trying to get information to the public. That's what all journalists want to do. It's not about Chris. He'll be the first to tell you that. It's about finding out what they are really about.
And tonight's going to be one of those things, because when there's a debate with Trump, he is a bull in a china shop. He is coming in and he's like, I'm going to smash, Hulk smash, Hulk smash, Hulk smash, 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 smash. And that's what he's going to be a lot of. And Biden has a quick temper. Biden can meander. Biden can talk in circles. You've got to be able to, it's going to be like herding cats tonight, keeping them on point, but also calling the BS where it needs to be called. That's why it's so important to have somebody who is fair, who's willing to get to the bottom of the question, get the answers out. Hey, no. I asked you a question. That wasn't an answer. In all fairness, you just kind of tiptoed around it. This is what we asked you. Why can't you answer that question? That second question is so important. It is. It is. Trump's taxes. That's going to be something tonight. He probably didn't want to talk about it. Right? That's, as he likes to say, it's old news. It's fake news. But his taxes are going to be a part of this.
They want to know about their futures and what taxes they'll be paying over the next 4 years, rather than what taxes the president may have paid over the last 20.
Trump's voters, the people that love him, the people that follow him, the people that were maybe Republicans or libertarians or frustrated Democrats, but they weren't really into the political process, but they love Trump. They're not leaving him. They're in the game. Doesn't matter. This not paying taxes. And by the way, you start to delve into all these things when it comes to the world of taxes. You say, did you pay taxes here? Well, we only paid $750. Well, that's when you start breaking things down. Anybody who's been in the accounting world on a real serious level, not like, well, one time I did taxes at Walmart. That doesn't count. They'll tell you this, you're getting nothing out of this. You get very little out of this. But they're going to ask the question, how does he come at it? Does he do it real? Or does he do the usual, you guys, it's audited, you wouldn't understand? Well, there's some of that probably that's very true. But try to break it down for everybody to understand, because there are people out there that are curious. For Joe Biden, you want to unite the country? How do you do that? You got a portion of the country that wants no part of what the left is offering. And I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about the left. The uber progressive, Green New Deal, can't say anything, uber woke left. They want no part of that. How do you reach over and say, look, that ain't me. I'm not a socialist. He said it last week. I beat the socialist. How do you get those people or the people who are undecided, who aren't sure about your mental capacity, who think that you've not only lost a step, that maybe you've lost several yards? There's a lot. Trump tonight has the most to lose. Absolutely. He does. And on the other side, when you look at Joe, he has the most to prove, because he's got to prove to the American people something that may be tough to prove in 90 minutes, because people are still going to be worried. And if he goes off the reservation, off the script, as people have talked about.
What do you see as Joe Biden's biggest weakness going into this debate?
Joe Biden's biggest weakness is Joe Biden. If he is not on point, if he's not as succinct, he's got to be clear-minded with this. Sometimes he gets lost. Sometimes he goes off on a tangent, but he has to be succinct. Whatever they're going to do in this prep, they're going to have to make sure he does this on the stage on Tuesday night in Cleveland, Ohio.
What if he does? What if he goes off and he starts talking about corn pop and he starts talking about all of these things and stuff that did happen or didn't happen, and people start asking, like, where's he going with this? And it gets totally wacky. And why? What? There's a lot here. Trump's got to work. He's got a lot of work to do. He is behind. Now, we can debate if he's behind by 10 or if he's behind by 3. But I think by and large, when you look at the polls, Trump is struggling. And this is very interesting. The new mayor's poll. Trump, job approval, 46. Likely voters, 41. Where's that 5 that could help push him over? Is it his personality that turns people off? I think it's a big deal. Is it people are afraid? There's a silent majority out there who are like, I don't want the hassle. I don't want the headache. I don't want to fight over people, over who I voted for. I don't want any of those things. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Because I think there's obviously a large swath of people that have zero problems showing they support Trump. But I do believe there are more people out there than the left wants to give credit to, that there are people out there that support Trump, but they do it in a quiet way. Because they don't want the headache. They don't want the hassle. They don't want the arguments and fighting. They don't want to be gaslighted. They don't want to be, torched at work and cause issues and problems. They don't want any of that. But Trump is going to have to find 5% more across the country in battleground states to get over that. And yesterday, there was something interesting about the Nancy Pelosi could decide who's president. So imagine this. So let's get the 12th Amendment. So imagine this. Both of them run. Neither of them get the prerequisite 270. And so we're not going to the Supreme Court. We're not. Now, they'll fight over something, still. But let's just say it gets that. Well, where's it go then? It goes to the House. And she is saying, and this would be the new House that's sworn in. So that's why she's pushing hard, because it wouldn't be a 1-to-1 vote. What it is how many Congress people do you have? So each state, you're looking at that. And right now, it's very close. As far as you've got, I think, 26 states that are Democrat. They've got more Congress people than Democrat. You've got 23 that are, 23 that are Republican. And you got Pennsylvania, which I think is split down the middle. As far as they've got the same amount of people on the left and the right, Republicans and Democrats. Could you imagine, though, if Trump got like 258, right? Biden didn't get as many electoral college votes, but Nancy gets to decide it, and then he had the popular vote. Oh, my God. Never say, because, you never say never at this point, because you may look over and next thing you know, 2021's like, hey, hold my beer. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. More and more every day, I'm seeing stuff about our veterans and the suicide rate, which is rising. You know, last year the study said about 20 veterans commit suicide a day. They believe that number is rising fast. And there's a way that you can help. It's simple. Wounded Paw Project. What Wounded Paw Project does is it rescues dogs that would be euthanized, trains them to be service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their families. And when just having that something in your life, an animal who loves you, who's there to help you with your PTSD, to calm you down, or maybe if you've got physical ailments from being in war, it is amazing to see the work that they do. On top of that, it's not just for the veterans, it's also for first responders and their families. And I've got a great story of a kid who's got autism, and his family are first responders, and they got a dog from Wounded Paw Project, and it has changed their child's life in ways you cannot believe. And by the way, that dog was a dog that they're like, you need to put this to sleep. It's a fighting dog. And they said, no, we're going to rescue it and train. And they did. Find out how you can help by going to woundedpawproject.org. Right now, you can take action, turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a vehicle for change. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. Donating is super easy. Proceeds are used to protect, advocate, and transform these shelter dogs into service dogs for our veterans, first responders, and their family. You can call 844-6784-PAW or go to woundedpawproject.org, woundedpawproject.org to find out how you can help. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me? Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to the Chad Benson Show.
I'm they, them, ABC, EFG, HI, LMNOP, Q. Just couldn't even believe that stuff. We had Abigail Schreier on yesterday, her book about trans kid and how it affects especially young girls. And some people push back. And, you know, Joe Rogan's getting all kinds of pushback. You know, Spotify people are... We've had 10 meetings over Joe Rogan. Like, for what? Well, they're upset. Why? Because they feel that some of the people he has on the show and his radical free speech is potentially harming. Who? Who is it harming? And people sent me stuff yesterday. I was laughing. I'm like, who did it harm? A woman did a book based on research, data and facts. She went out and she wrote a book. You could decide. Well, it's just, but how would you treat somebody who is transgender? Like anybody else in my life and family. Unless they're idiots and jerks. Then I'll treat them like people are idiots and jerks. Right? It's so bizarre. What would you call somebody who's transgender? I don't know. What do you want to be called? Is your name Linda? Well, is this what you want to be called? I'll call you Linda. I'm not a jerk. If you want to be called Mike and you should be Marianne, then that's what we're going to go with. I'm not going to treat you any different. It's just nuts. It is crazy. It totally is. We're talking off the air earlier. I just said, and when people say, well, oh my God, you guys, you don't understand. You don't understand. It's triggering the conversation. You know, you got J.K. Rowling talking about women's rights and you got all of this stuff and it's triggering and it's harmful and I'm scared. What are you scared of? Like, what terrorizes you? A different viewpoint? Scares you? That shouldn't scare you. And if you're confident in the things that you believe, and you're afraid of somebody who has a differing viewpoint, and you're confident in it, then it shouldn't matter. Right? Am I right with that? Like, if I believe this, whatever it is, the politics, economics, sports, then I should feel strong enough about that what you say doesn't matter because I've got my facts. Maybe we learned something from each other. But it's just insane. Because I've got people who follow me and they're like, that it says identify her, him, they. And I'm like, okay. Like, what do you want to be called? Here's what I won't do. And I'm setting this out there. Because I'd hire somebody. Would you hire somebody who's trans? I got zero problems. Used to have a great employee work for me for many years named Robin. Great. Absolutely fantastic. I got zero problem with it. But you can't be Steve today, Robin tomorrow, and then whatever you feel. Like, I'm going to give you, because I'm not, like, if you come in today and you say, my name's Jim, and the next day you're like, I want you to call me Batman, I'm not going to do it. You're going to be Jim. That's it. That's the name you're going with. You don't get a stage name and everything. These are my personas. It's like Roger from American Dad. There's all these personas. It doesn't work that way. We got to stop being so namby-pamby. It is sad. Got to start to nut up and get a little stronger, boys and girls. And stop giving kids a seat at the table who have no right to be at the table. None. Not a one of you deserves a seat at the table. In a few years with experience and success, maybe. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This president appears to have over $400 million in debt. To whom? Different countries? What is the leverage they have? So for me, this is a national security question.
Are you potentially beholden to anybody, any country that could use that leverage against the interests of the United States? That might begin to start to explain all of the crazy behavior we've seen out of Donald Trump over the last 4+ years. It is very much a national security concern.
Okay, well, we need to see where all of his money is. Even if let's just say for the sake of argument, they were able to do that, right? So tomorrow morning we wake up and we found out, hey, guess what? Trump is in hawk over his head. Now, his assets are worth more than his liabilities, so if he had to liquidate everything, he'd be okay, but he does owe a lot of people money. Who's he owe money? Is it Putin? No. It's Deutsche Bank. Okay. Who else? It's Credit Suisse. Okay. Who else? But they're banks and financial groups. So it's not Russia. It's not the Saudi Arabians. It's not some dude named, Big Stu. No. Wouldn't matter. It wouldn't. Telling you guys, Trump's biggest fear is that people find out that he's not worth $3 billion, $2 billion, that he's only worth whatever. $500 million after everything. Raise your hand if you'd be cool with that. I'm okay with that. I'll take the 500. Oh, my God. It's just insane. So tonight they'll battle it out. More to prove for a lot of people. And the bars, I think, let's be fair with this debate tonight. A lot of it is kind of meaningless because this is, you kind of know where you stand. You're looking for a few things. For somebody like Biden, it's to reassure everybody that he's good. Mentally, he's good. People say, well, I don't know why you even asked that question. Because he's the same age as my grandfather, and we put him in a home last week. So it's fair to ask the question. If we knew then what we know now about Reagan in this last 2 years, right? Second thing is he up for it? physically as well. You can say all you want about, Trump's diet and all these kind of things. Yeah, you could say all that stuff. But the reality is Trump goes nonstop. Apparently, Biden has requested some breaks, and Trump's all, nope. Because the one thing, as we were talking about off the air, producer Anthony and I were chatting with producer Phil, that there's like a level Biden goes, and then it's like his batteries, like he's got that, he's not the Energizer Bunny. So he's got to, I think, prove to a lot of people certain things. And the other thing that he absolutely has to prove over these three to win over those undecided voters. Because there are still people out there, some are afraid or worried that maybe he's not up for it. But there's also a group out there that wants some reassurance that, hey, dude, you're not turning this over to AOC and Ilhan Omar and the uber left, radical, crazy progressives. Like, you're not doing that, right? It's going to be a little bit more Obama and a lot less of that. And for Trump, he's got to be Trump. But he's got to be Trump in a smart way, which is hard because as great as a brander as he is, and he wants to get on top and he wants to dominate, he can't be such an a-hole that he looks like he's beating up an old dude in a park, right? You don't do that. The second thing is the things you were great at, talk about. Juxtapose that with when Obama and Biden were in the office. Talk about the fact that he had 47 years. Why is it now? Talk about, hey, you want to talk about, crime reform? I have a prison reform bill. I have a reform bill. I mean, what did you got? You had 4 years, then 8 years, and you didn't get that done. Talk about all the regulations they put on. Juxtapose that. You want higher taxes across the board in an economy, and you want to turn back the clock to FDR and Hoover, by the way. Huh? History. Just look, a lot of that stuff that FDR did was just Hoover tried to do a lot of things, and FDR's like, that's great. And hey, we'll keep this Great Depression rolling on for years. This will be awesome. And talk about how many wars did you get us into? Whenever I say that, people are like, what do you mean? Obama didn't get us in any wars. Yeah. Obama got us into places like, I don't know, Yemen, Libya, back in Somalia, places we didn't. He dropped 20,000 bombs. That's things like that. But if you come out and it's just straight to the grundle and it just falls apart, it's going to get ugly. And we're not going to learn anything. And then we're just going to go, ugh. So tonight will be very interesting. Trump, hey, you got a lot to lose here. You do. And you have a lot to gain. And over there, Biden, I think you have a lot to prove. You have to prove that you're up for it physically and mentally, and you have to prove that you're not just going to hand the reins over to the progressive, uber progressive left. That you're just a straightforward, old-style Joe, union-supporting Democrat. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us and text the program. So this story is everything. It's spectacular. I want you guys to understand this. It's happened here in Arizona. We live in a day and age, and I talked about it last week. My mom got so pissed over my little brother. So for guys you don't know, my mother's adopted my nieces and nephews. So I have a 25-year-old sister down to an 8.5-year-old little brother. One of my little brothers, who's 10, has an IEP, is really bad learning. Like if you talk to him, you wouldn't. He struggles with everything. Plus he's got defiance, so he's got a lot of issues. So he's got his IEP, where he's in special ed. He's being taught wokeness, Black Lives Matter, privilege, all of this stuff in his English class, which my mom freaked out about because he can't read and he doesn't even comprehend 99% of the stuff you're talking about in this situation. And privilege is not the word I would use with him. This dad was beyond pissed, and rightly so, about what his daughter brought home.
Roberto Sandoval says he's the son of a Mexican immigrant who worked hard to achieve the American dream. He says he was blown away when his teen showed him her homework from Highland High School.
Tuesday afternoon, my daughter came home, asked both me and my wife a question, and said, I have an assignment that's asking me how I am privileged.
Okay. So what class is you privileged? Wait, what?
Roberto was curious about the lesson from his daughter's English class. Then he saw the slides.
My skin color gave me privilege I didn't earn. Your skin color gives you struggles you didn't deserve. Trying to create a divisive environment through race just doesn't belong.
Roberto provided other visuals from the assignment, breaking down pay disparities for women minorities and discussing injustice.
I'm sure you can tell from the color of my skin, I'm not white, and my daughter is not either.
Doesn't matter. That's the crap that's being pushed. You know, we talk about the divisiveness that Trump brings. That's divisive. Imagine looking at a bunch of little kids and looking over and saying, hey, you're white, so you have all this privilege that all these other kids don't, and the world's going to look at you in a much different way and look down upon you. And, that is, to me, insane. And it's also not for you to teach, right? Little reading, little writing, lots of science, lots of data. Lots of technology. We should teach for where we're going, not where we're at. This, though, is insane.
The Gilbert father says he came from humble beginnings, and the lesson goes against the values he teaches at home.
They're not a victim, and to me, this was teaching that they're a victim.
Roberto believes some topics should be handled at home, not at school.
It's fine to have the conversation about it, but there's a difference between having a conversation and trying to indoctrinate your children.
Absolutely. Indoctrination. And the victim side is so absolutely real. How can we make you a victim? How do we make you a victim? I would lose it. Somebody asked me the other day, what would you do if that was Jack's class? So first of all, Jack would never tell me because he knows what I would do. Secondly, not only would I go pull him out of school, I want to do it during school. I want to make the scene as possible. Sorry. I'm never going to ask somebody to apologize for who they are. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care what God you worship, who you love, any of those things. But that kind of mentality, I always say little things like that. I always say, this is why Trump. This is why Trump. And that 1619 project at the New York Times that's being taught, this is what my little brother was taught, it's being taught in classrooms across the country, that is a bunch of crap. You want to talk about divisive? You want to talk about demonizing people? Well, you're white, so you got to where you are. Or, look, I can't understand what it's like to drive like black. No, I can't. There are plenty of things that we need to discuss in this country. I've got zero problems that we should. And we should try to do what? Help everybody the best that we can. But at the same time, I'm not going to treat you as a victim. I'm not. And people, you're going to judge me by the color of my skin based on things that happened hundreds of years before I was even thought of or could have ever been imagined at all, based on people that I never met and don't even know through stupid Ancestry.com who the hell they were. That is nuts. It is. That is why Trump. That is why Trump. And it sounds stupid in a day and age when we should be talking about race in this country in a real way, talking about moving forward and how we advance even further than where we've come from. That, to me, is absolute crap, and it makes victims more than anything else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. All right, kids, My Pillow. Change the way you sleep forever. Love it. You know what's great is they've got, for me, everybody's like, what do you like best? I have the towels and the sheets are incredible. They got the Giza pillowcases and the towel sets and the roll and go anywhere, the duvet covers, all of those things. And when I travel, like tonight, it's the first time in forever because of COVID that I'm going to be at a hotel. Yeah, I brought my MyPillow, Go Anywhere pillow. Absolutely. Everything comes with a 10-year warranty, machine washable and dryable, 60-day money-back guarantee, made in the USA. Go to the radio listener special at MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. So when you go to check out, Mike Lindell's got a book. It's an amazing book. Talk about a guy who went from nothing and built something, who put himself in awful situations. Read his book. It is inspiring. If you order it, he is going to ship everything for free and give you a $25 gift card towards your next purchase. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
I'm curious what you make of Florida's decision to ease those restrictions, opening up bars and restaurants.
Well, that is very concerning to me. I mean, we have always said that, myself and Dr. Deborah Birx, that is something we really need to be careful about, because when you're dealing with community spread and you have the kind of congregate setting where people get together, particularly without masks, you're really asking for trouble.
You're asking for trouble. Why are you asking for trouble? Fauci there. Because Florida's like, screw it. Live your life. No, don't do it. So 3 months ago, Sweden's a cautious tale of don't do this. A month ago, it's like, well, maybe they got a little lucky. Now other countries are like, well, hold on a second. We've been indoors for like a long time. We're wearing masks and everything. What's going on over there? People look around Africa. Africa, by the way, for those of you who have no idea about COVID, nobody knows what in God's name is going on in Africa. Just nothing. Low fatality rate, not really the spread elsewhere. Some people are saying, is it because Africa has maybe the hydrochloroquine, the tuberculosis medicine? Nobody's quite sure what's going on in Africa where they've got a low fatality rate and there isn't the spread. Like, it's not like, because what did we talk about originally when this thing first came? This thing gets into the slums of places in like New Delhi and parts of India, and it gets into places in Africa, and it could spread when there's no water, any of this stuff. It is in generational living where you may have 5 or 6 people in a home. This could be awful. Nothing. They just don't know why. Low fatality rates. They just don't know what the deal is. 2.4%. And that is reported. So you can look at it in, like everything is, if one person has it, the chance that anywhere between 3 and 5 people have it. CDC's gone as high as 20. World Health Organization's gone as 10. I'll lower it and say 5. Then that fatality rate would drop even more. But when you saw spread in a perfect example of the perfect storm at Navajo Nation, where they have 30% of people don't have running water, and you have generational homes, and you saw the spread there, and you're like, wow. And then you look at a place like Africa that in many places is something very similar, but yet the fatality rate is low, and even the spread rate is low comparatively. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Tonight is the night 1 of 3 big debates. Donald Trump has a lot on the line. Normally, in situations like this, the incumbent doesn't fare very well. Reagan was the last one to really come out of this smelling like roses as an incumbent. Kerry got to Bush. We saw what happened with Mitt Romney. So this will be very interesting. And Trump, as we all know, it's go big or go home. How does he handle the pressure? I think he'll do that, but does he overdo it, overcook it? Can he show that he wants to be the president for everybody on the other side? A lot to prove. The bar may be low, but for a lot of people out there, there's a lot to prove for Biden. Not just is he physically ready for it, is he mentally ready for it? Is he going to be a person that is going to be in this thing as a Democrat and not an uber progressive? Can he win those people over that are worried about that? It's the first of 3. It'll be interesting. You have a blessed day. We will do it again tomorrow. Check out Chad Benson Show TV on the YouTube. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.